you mentioned luxury, less innovative, less dynamic, less creative, perhaps is how I'm thinking of, but you could correct
Yes.
me. Brands won't, smaller brands, right? Or brands that don't have the infrastructure that these bigger brands have, and therefore they don't have the channels to survive, which doesn't mean they don't have the luxury quality. So thinking back thinking of the Depression and earlier, this isn't the first time we've experienced this kind of disruption, global disruption. It's been around if you look through history. So is luxury more of a conservative, a reaching for a nostalgic type of, like you mentioned, the Rolex, right? And there could be more than one answer, right? Or is luxury about being in the know in terms of being with, like, think of like a work of art or an artist, right?
Yes.
The person who appreciates the artist, the first one to catch the artist first person to catch Andy Warhol, right?
Yes.
Is like that kind of thing, or is luxury indicative of something else?
Luxury in this difficult time of economic crisis is going to be about both. It's going to be about people buying classic, going back to the traditional luxury brands, and it's going to be about the people who have money, and therefore they see the classic brand are regaining all the attention, and it's time for them to differentiate and become more eccentric, and they're going to go for the lesser known and still very authentic, more artisanal, more artistic type of brands. So these two things are going to happen. What I think is the fashion brands are going to be the one who have the hardest time, the fashion luxury brand. What's interesting is maybe what's going to happen to the brand that bring more technology. The brand that bring more technology will maybe succeeds more than fashion, as long as, again, this technology really fulfill a service and it's not just a gadget. What I see as happen is it's going to be very contrasting between before coronavirus and after coronavirus. I think before coronavirus, it was more about popularity, what seems to be used by some influencers. And it was quick luxury, is getting those things just for the sake of that you got it and you move on. Yeah. And so there's no too much substance. With the coronavirus, all of this superfluous type of luxury, I think it will be and slow down, at least for a while, because people are not going to throw their money on this, at least not. So some people say there may be some kind of revenge spending on luxury,
right.
Maybe but I think it'd be very short-lived. I think it will be very soon that people will see that there may be some nostalgia for all things. There may be people going back to the stereotype of the style of luxury. But at the same time, I think you're absolutely right that there is a group of people, I call them the snobs, is they look for something that is more eccentric, off the center, off the beaten path. In fact, they like to set the trend, and they may be not so much trying to set the trend, but they may be mostly trying to be different than the other people, which in turn will be setting the trend as if they are sort of taking the leadership and the initiative of buying things that are not yet considered as popular, and they sort of popularize, or at least they are at the very beginning of the cycle of popularity. That's always very exciting, and it's so exciting that this is something that is required when you launch a luxury brand, is you have to identify who are this group of people who will bring the seed of the idea in people, create the movement. The most important person is not the creator. The most important person are the first people that join the creator because they create the movement.
So this gets to the differences and similarities between art and luxury and the audience. This is, in a way, it sounds like you're saying that luxury and there'll be this revenge shopping, and there might be some ephemeral things, but the trend after this global pause, if you will, will be almost like a sifting through some of the less authentic forms of luxury, perhaps. Or, I mean, it's always tricky to say what's authentic and what's not, but cream will be rising to the top, if you will.